Hello, welcome to Jewish Museum Milwaukee's Museum Moments. My name is Ellie Gettinger. I'm the Education Director at Jewish Museum Milwaukee, and I'm delighted to be here today. Today starts the World Series. And when we were planning out our museum moments, we had this brief thought that maybe, just maybe, the Brewers would make it to the World Series. Maybe this wasn't their year, but maybe next year is, who's to say? But in thinking about the history of the Milwaukee Brewers, we thought there was a great Jewish story to share, and one that doesn't receive that much coverage. So we were excited to be able to share the story of Wendy Selig-Prieb. So I'm going to turn it over to my slideshow, and we'll go from there. So Wendy Selig-Prieb is the daughter of Bud Selig, obviously, but also beyond that, she is the first executive of her caliber. She says, she hasn't been with the Brewers since she sold the Brewers in 2004, but she says, I'm still a Brewers fan through and through. So she grew up in Milwaukee. She grew up in Fox Point, in fact, and she went to Marquette Law School. She went to Tufts as well. She loved baseball. And remember, she is from a long line of baseball fans. Her grandmother was a huge baseball fan. Her father, of course, was such a big baseball fan that he brought baseball back to Milwaukee. And so all of this comes into play as she's thinking about and she's getting involved with the organization. And she's with the organization from 1990 to 2004. As she says, she may have been the first, but she never wanted to be the last. She was the first female president and chairman of a Major League Baseball club, and she took over for Bud Selig in 1998 when he became commissioner. She's the first woman to represent the Major League Baseball in collective bargaining, which she did in the 94 strike season, and she's a member of the Commissioner's Initiative on Women in Baseball, which was designed to try and create more opportunities for women to be involved with baseball, but also to have better fan experiences for women in baseball, also for families as well. She's kind of, in Milwaukee, the Brewers, under her leadership, one of the big things that she does is she makes sure that baseball stays in Milwaukee, which I think is a huge credit, especially as we think about our past season and how exciting August was with all of those wins. And even the fact that we've made it to the playoffs for the past couple of years and the enthusiasm over having a National League MVP like Christian Yelich, one of the things in order to make that happen is that there needed to be a new ballpark. And so as we look at this, the ballpark piece was really a huge part of her legacy and a huge challenge. And it marked this kind of public-private partnership between the Milwaukee Brewers and the city and the state in order to actually ensure that this could be done. It was supposed to take 2 to 3 years. I believe it took 10 years, and it was hundreds of millions of dollars to build. It is certainly a landmark in our city. And of course, we can debate whether we'd rather have it downtown or whether we like that it's out in Western Milwaukee so that we can tailgate, which is such a big part of our kind of local culture. But this is a huge part of Wendy Selig-Prieb's legacy with the Brewers. The other thing is she helped develop the Brewers Community Foundation, which is a huge benefactor in our community. Their mission is to harness the pride, the passion, and the commitment of Brewers fans, players, and other supporters to positively impact the lives of children and their families in greater Milwaukee and Wisconsin. JMM is thrilled that we've been the beneficiary of the Brewers Community Foundation. Any baseball game that you go to, it's not just about being in the game, that if they're doing that 50-50 raffle, that the money that doesn't go towards the winner goes back and supports things within the community. And they have all sorts of other fundraising events throughout the year. If you participated in their sausage race run walk, that's one way of supporting the foundation. And really, it does take on huge numbers of issues, especially within the realm of health and education and recreation in our community. Her work helped make baseball more open for the casual fan. And she really, one of the things that I think was challenging, if you think about baseball in the 90s, and still baseball is all about this question of markets and market values. The Dodgers were just in the National League. pennant race here, and their salary is $200 million. And the Brewers are competitive, but still much less than that. And the team that actually had the lowest salary, I believe, was the Tampa Bay Rays, who somehow were able to get out a team at $24 million and still make the playoffs. It's kind of a remarkable thing. But this idea of how small and big markets can compete with each other really came to a head in the 90s. And one of the things that she was excited that she was able to do was be able to come up with the profit sharing between the owners and teams, and that made it more possible for small markets to compete. She broke the glass ceiling for women in baseball. She was the first president, as I said, and chairman. There's still not that many women in the front office of baseball teams. In fact, this year, a woman named Kim Ng took over as the general manager of the Miami Marlins. And it was the first time any woman was hired to be the general manager of a team. She had over 30 years of experience to get her there. I mean, it was certainly a lengthy career, and it's still, there's so few women in front office positions. There's so few women in management in baseball that it really is exceptional that she had this trajectory. But I think it is one of those things that it says, how do we ensure that more women are having those sorts of opportunities? You have to have those pipelines available, and you have to have opportunities here on out. So we were excited to be able to share Wendy's story and to get a little bit more about her. Thanks, Tommy, for checking in. Tommy Medra is saying, I'm glad you're covering baseball, and I'm glad you're focusing on what you did in the community. The product on the field was terrible. You win some, you lose some. And I'm guessing the losing some was the problem there. We have some other baseball-related programs that you can check out, or sports in general. You can check out our Milwaukee baseball one, which highlights Bud Selig. So you can find that on our YouTube channel. We also have 2 on the Bucks. They kicked off recently, too. So we're excited to be able to celebrate Milwaukee sports. We'll be back next week, and we hope that you've enjoyed this session of Museum Moments.